Welcome back, guys. Another episode of the Jordan Patrick Show. I'm your host, Jordan, here with Richie, Elliot, and a guest of ours, Idris. Idris, how you doing today? Welcome to the show.
Doing well. How about you guys?
We're
Very
doing
good,
great,
man.
man. Introduce yourself. Tell our fan base why you're here and what you're all about, man.
Name is Idris. Diehard Giants fan, New York fan, sports fan, period. Trash talker. Here to talk football, baseball, whatever, and show my last disrespect to the Cowboys.
Well, that's pretty
What?
convenient because we have a diehard Cowboy fan in Elliot on the show, so this will be fun. This is going to get interesting. But man, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. It's always good to have a fresh, outlook on this show. So we really appreciate your time, gentlemen. How we doing, Rich, Elliot? Anything new? What's on your mind?
Knicks starting to win some home games is on my mind. If we lose twice at MSG to Orlando, that's going to be very hard to stomach.
It could happen.
Giants are a game and a half out of the 7 seed. Just wanted to say that. As ridiculous as this sounds, it's true.
It's week 11 in the NFL. We're going to get to it in a minute, and I don't feel like committing suicide as a Cowboys fan. So it's new territory for me. It's been a long time since we've felt this good this late in the season.
Well, you can pass the razor blades over to me because I'm a Jaguar fan, and we beat the Bills, but that was obviously we just have their number, man. I don't know what it is. They can't seem to get it together when they play us, no matter how good they are. I've seen it before.
Yes, we do.
We really just have their number, whether it be in the playoffs or regular season. We got them. Real quick, man. Speaking of an old New York Giants player, moved himself over to Cleveland, now over in the LA market, Odell Beckham Jr. I want y'all's opinion on this. I'm going to just call him a character because, man, he's got a lot of personality, and I don't think he's living up to the hype, but I want y'all's opinion if this is going to work out long-term for OBJ. We'll start with you, Rich, just being that he was, coming out of New York a couple years ago. And what's your opinion? How's this going to shake down for OBJ?
I didn't like what I saw on Monday night. I felt like he gave up on a route that led to an interception. I know that jocks and their numbers is always a big deal to them. Johnny Hecker, backup it was Wolford who has 13. Long story short, Odell was pissed off that he didn't get 13. I know a lot of guys will pay for it or whatever have you. They set up their own deals. Robert Woods going down puts Odell right in there as the number 2 receiver. And while I don't question his athletic attributes, I do question where he's really at because it's been a long time since I've seen a glimmer of the player he was as a New York Giant and very early in Cleveland. So, quite frankly, I don't know. I really don't know.
Real quick, Idris, what's your opinion on OBJ in this situation? Is he a good fit in LA? Is it going to work out in his favor?
I'm kind of with Rich with this. I think his best days are behind him. He's had too many injuries. I mean, knee injury, ankle injury, shoulder injury. And when he left the Giants, I was like, whatever. And but when he made the comment about how he's going, to play for a better quarterback, it told me right then that it's about him. And even in Cleveland, even if they won and he didn't get the catches, it pissed him off. And like Rich said, his attitude in LA already about the number and all this, and I think it's a Band-Aid, but I don't think it's going to work long term. I mean.
And last but certainly not least, El, what's your opinion on his state of mind and everything, his future?
It's been 1 week, and I always preach patience with any big move, right? People take for granted how complicated NFL playbooks are, and all the procedures, protocols of every team are different. He's going to take time to get adapted, but to the point Idris and Rich were making, the culture fit doesn't seem great off the jump. He's a big personality, and he's already making waves being there for all of 14 days, maybe at this point, right? So, yeah,
Right.
I don't like it. I think to what I've been saying since the jump, Matthew Stafford is not that dude, and OBJ is going to come to that crushing realization that there's a reason why he's been a mediocre quarterback, and it's not all on Detroit. He's looked better with all the weapons they have in LA, but he's not the solution, and neither is OBJ. They're still going to be a hell of a team because of that defense, but
Valid points, man. Valid points. I think what it comes down to, really, you're right, El. I mean, he's only been there. What do you have? 3 days of practice with this team, with this offensive.
Doesn't matter who you are, how good you are. You're not going to come out in the NFL and put up big numbers after
you need
3 days of practice.
And it wasn't that I was, angry with him or anything like that. I just felt like he was going to fall flat in this first appearance, and he really did. I mean, he showed some disgust when Sean wouldn't put him in on 3rd and 4th down. He was, kind of rolling his eyes and crossing his arms on the sideline. So he's already got that little temper tantrum going. But, I mean, dude, you can't expect to be on every snap or 75% of the snaps. That's not in your first week when you've had 3 days of practice with this organization. So I feel like ultimately, with Robert Woods going down with the season-ending injury, I think was it ACL? Is that right?
ACL.
Yes.
ACL?
Yes.
And he's done. So everybody's thinking, he's going to slot right in and he'll fit right in that spot where Woods was. And really what you saw was Higbee pick up the slack. And but yeah, I mean, Stafford's not that guy, but you're putting a lot of pressure on Stafford now, and it becomes the whole thing that with Manning and then with Baker. This guy wants targets. He wants all the targets all the time. That creates another layer of pressure, if you will. But I think they were already they had lost the week before. They were coming off, a 4-game win streak before that. But you got to look at who they played as well. They played nobody. And no offense to you gentlemen, but the Giants were one of those teams in that 4-game win streak. They played the Seahawks with no Russ. They beat them 26-17. Then they played the Giants, beat them 38-11. They played the Lions, who we already talked shit about. I mean, that's just, they're terrible. 28-19.
Third quarter, we win that game.
Just stop right there. Though.
Last thing I want to say on
protections,
and this might be a little like a bit of a reach. The Josh Norman factor. They have a very interesting history as, two enemies, similar to the way Golden Tate and Jalen Ramsey are when they're on the same field. That was, of course, the famous kicking net incident where OBJ almost knocked himself out. A year later, he kind of avenged being embarrassed by Norman and helped the Giants solidify a playoff berth in 2016, which is the last time they made the playoffs. I don't know. I wonder to a level if that was even playing with his emotions, knowing that he was going to be facing Josh Norman. I found that as an interesting side story. It might mean nothing, but I thought it was interesting.
El, what's your take on the schedule here? The ease of their schedule. Is it finally coming to fruition that these holes are being exposed in this team, or is it? Are they really good and they're just in a slump right now? What's your outlook on this?
Honestly, I believe it's the latter. I think the Rams are probably the team to beat in the NFC. The other team would be my own. Like, the best teams in the NFC are the Rams and the Cowboys. The Bucs are still right there.
Sure.
The Rams are a quality football team. OBJ is probably gonna, at best, make an impact like Antonio Brown did deep in the playoffs for the Bucs last year.
I can see that.
That's at the best case scenario. It could be that he's the cancer in the locker room that the Giants found him to be, and Cleveland did as well. I don't know. I can't speak to that.
Now, Idris, sorry, I'm going to interrupt real quick.
You're good. That's it.
What's your take on the weaker of the two links? Is it because they're both strong with their offense and their defense? Which one is the weaker element of this team, in your opinion?
They can't stop the run.
They really can't. The rush D has a lot of problems right now.
Stop the run. And I think, like Elliot said, I think they'll rebound, but it's going to be hard going to Green Bay if they have to go to Green Bay. And Green Bay can run the ball. Dallas can run the ball. We always seen Frisco what they did. I don't see Frisco being there, but the Bucs can run the ball. And if you can't stop the run, we saw what happened Sunday night.
Depends on the severity of Aaron Jones. Was that season ending on that injury? No.
1
So
to 2 weeks.
November 28th is when they play. So they're going to have to face maybe a little bit of a banged up Aaron Jones, but that team, okay, Green Bay is definitely a competitor. I don't care what they look like on paper and what their record is. That's a competitor, and they could beat the Rams. They could beat them straight up, flat out. And like you just was saying, if they can't stop the run, that's going to be a huge problem for them.
The defense.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Green Bay is quietly good. And mind you, they still have their share of injuries on that side of the football. I mean, I get it. Russ was rusty. Rodgers was rusty. The weather sucked. Jones got hurt. Seattle's been missing people. But whenever you get a shutout in the NFL, I don't give a damn who you're playing. It's impressive.
It's impressive. In the NFL, definitely, yeah. Even the
Agreed.
No doubt.
Agreed. We'll roll off of OBJ just for a second. I want to touch on some of these injuries that are happening, Rich. Dive into this for me, please. What are the relevance? What does this mean for some of these teams, some of these big names that have gone down recently?
I'll start with some running backs. Chase Edmonds is on short-term IR. Best case scenario, he comes back week 14, which is the fantasy playoffs just around the corner then. That's affecting me. As far as it affects the team, James Conner's getting a full workload. I don't necessarily think that's the formula for success. Bigger than that, on that same roster.
He's had an impressive couple weeks, though.
Yeah. Kyler Murray's a game-time decision this week. D-Hop is still banged up. And that's a contender. Arizona, we're talking about the Rams. Arizona is ahead of them and has a game up on them.
Yeah.
The rematch will be in Arizona. Now you got the Green Bay Packers, as we just mentioned. Aaron Jones is down. You know, running the football is so vital this time of the year. Dallas has been fortunate with their health. They're a contender. They haven't been banged up in the sense of, I mean, you got your running backs.
We got our running backs. We're missing, 2 or 3 offensive linemen. Dak just got back. My receivers, I've been missing Michael Gallup, who I don't know if you know this. He's going to blow up for someone next year. It's not going to be us.
And CeeDee Lamb are definitely not 100%. They showed CD showed out last week, but I mean, they're not 100%. They're dealing with lingering injuries. So L's right. You're dealing with your fair share, L.
Not that I disagree with the rest of it, but Dallas has definitely been banged up too.
Absolutely.
Look at the Titans. Derrick Henry's absence. They got that 3-headed monster. It looks like Foreman might actually be getting the bulk of the carries. I picked him up as a streaming.
What about Julio?
Through all my injuries. I also have AP buried on my bench. He's going to stay on my bench. He just has more burst. He looked good. They get a favorable matchup against the Texans. But, yeah, the injuries are real. Even Najee Harris, I mean, he's not going to miss time. But he got dinged up with Pittsburgh.
Who, Rich?
Has had his issues. COVID before that, he was dinged up.
I know you're focused on running backs, but do you think – I want to focus on the Titans for a second here. You think with Julio out for 3 weeks, that's going to impact it even more? Because I know we all talked about the impact of Derrick Henry, the AP move, and whether that would – but we always talk on this show about how the pass and run game complement each other. Do you think missing Julio Jones is going to make it that much more difficult for the Titans to reestablish the run game?
It depends on which caliber defense they're playing. I don't necessarily think it'll show its ugly head this week. But against better teams, yeah, that's going to be a problem. The Houston Texans have not won a game in 2 months, so I don't think that would necessarily be something to worry on this week. But, yeah, for the long haul, and I said it on my little audio drop on Anchor, they're winning ugly, but I don't think it's sustainable.
No.
Vrabel's a hell of a coach. I've praised him numerous times, but I think it's a big ask. And on paper, although they have that ugly Jacksonville loss, the Buffalo Bills are supposed to be the best team just based on their health at the moment and the overall roster. They do have a complete team.
With Buffalo, I want to say they're the favorite, but it's like just when you think they're that team, they tumble.
Yeah,
And,
they've had some
you
tough
know,
losses.
I'm like, you can't lose at Jacksonville like that.
Ever.
You know,
I agree.
it's not. I mean, it's not nothing against Jacksonville, but you can't lose like that. That score, you can't lose like that.
I think the score was like 9-6, and no touchdowns were scored.
You can't lose like that.
I thought it was 27.
You can't lose 9-6 to Jacksonville, Detroit, even no, you can't. You just can't do it.
To put it in perspective, I think we took the Bills out in the playoffs in the first round of the playoffs a few years ago, and we beat them 7-3.
It looked like a repeat of the game.
Bullshit ass score.
Bortles against Tyrod. Looked like
exactly. There you go.
A win that no one enjoys.
I was visiting someone in the hospital during that game, and I actually fell asleep on that playoff game.
I watched that game. I was like, wow.
But
yeah,
so
there wasn't many enjoyable moments that came out of either of those games, honestly.
correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but these days there's only the 1 seed gets a bye week in the playoffs now, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So when you talk about seeding and home field advantage and a team like Buffalo that's at the top of the AFC or competing for it, these are the type of games you can't drop. Can't lose to fucking Jacksonville if you want to be a 1 seed. Again, this isn't about shitting on Jacksonville, but if you're going to be that team, it's a game you got to win.
I mean, go ahead, man. Feel free.
Thing about the Bills.
Not that score 9-6. No, you can't do that.
Right?
It's got to be better than that. It's got to be better than that. You really
have a horrendous record in one-score games. The majority of their wins have been blowout wins. So with Buffalo, and I could speak on this owning Josh Allen in 2 of my 3 leagues, you never really know what you're getting. When they're good, they look damn near unbeatable.
Right.
But when they're bad, they look like the biggest example of what an underachiever would be. So
many 3-and-outs. So many quick 3-and-outs against Jacksonville. Like, come on. What are we talking about?
I get it. They ran the cover 2 shell, and it was smart. Buffalo wasn't able to get that run going. That shit worked. And it kind of gave
every other team in the NFL is going to use that, and they're going to use that to their advantage going forward.
Yeah, it gave more talented defenses a legitimate game plan against Buffalo if you have the personnel to pull that shit off.
That's why this past weekend, I'd say, was a very telling weekend because a lot of big teams went down, and a lot of teams like the Rams, Buffalo, they got exposed in some spots where other teams are going to say, "Well, okay, let's try that." Let's try it. Let's see if it works for us.
Trial and error. You can win a game, but still be exposed, and then, like I said, a better opponent can take advantage. That's why there's film every week. Right. Like, even though people look at the scoreboard, they're like, God damn, they put up 45 against the Jets. But I watched the game. Yeah. They should have scored 70.
So let me ask you this. Do you think the Bills are in trouble with a matchup with Indy this week? Indy's not a great team. They might be a good team.
I'll chime in real quick. I think Jonathan Taylor is so under the radar. I know he's up there as far as fantasy value, but people keep sleeping on him. I think it's the market that he's in, but that team I think they are very good. They're not a great team, but they're a very good team. Michael Pittman, he can actually show out. Wentz is, I'm eating my words. And I think Indy can actually get it done if Buffalo keeps slipping. And if they play the right defensive, if they approach it defensively correctly, like the Jags do, they can win this game. They really can win this game.
I'd feel better if the game was in Indy for Indy to win. I think Taylor's going to have a big game, but Buffalo's got a really good defense. And I think they're going to do enough to make Wentz's job hard. If Indy can control the game flow, control the time of possession, and play that kind of game, kind of like what they tried to do last year in the playoffs against them, then I think that, yes, indeed, they might be able to pull it off, but not this week. The game was in Indy. I'd feel a little stronger about.
I don't even know what the Vegas spread is, but I'm just saying don't be surprised if Indy actually comes out and gets it done.
Nothing surprises me anymore this year.
Yeah, I know, really. Right. Honestly, man. But enough about OBJ. Another individual going out to enjoy some state tax and some sunshine is Mr. Syndergaard. I don't know if you guys saw this acquisition from the Angels. Big offseason move for them. Noah Syndergaard, Dorney's going to be pretty pissed about this one. He's already expressed some anger in the group chat, but
As he now.
man, 1 year, $21 million. This is a huge risk for LA. They're obviously making a push. They're trying to put together a team to get Trout a ring.
Yeah.
Idris, what's your opinion on this for Syndergaard? Good fit for the Angels. What's the outlook in your opinion?
It's a bad fit for the Yankees because the Angels always give us and this is just another, I don't know. I think it's a good short-term fit. Dang.
Hence the 1 year deal. I mean,
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it's a good. I think it's good because it's a 1 year deal, and that amount of money is not really. It's not really a lot in baseball compared to the others. I think they got a good bargain out of it. I think he's gonna make that team better because you have Trout, and his days of number, but I don't think it's enough.
I think really what it is for the Angels, I mean, they have the talent in Ohtani who can actually, he's hitting all these dingers like we talked about earlier in these shows in the year. But he can also throw 100 miles an hour plus. It's just adding to a pitching rotation that's going to be crippling in the AL. Rich, what's your take on this? To me, this is huge. This is absolutely huge. It's worth the gamble. Like Idris was saying, the risk is it's minimized by being a 1 year deal. So 21 mil is a drop in the bucket, and I would have paid probably 30 for Noah. Seriously.
It could be one of two things. It could either be a phenomenal move where he's solidified as their number 2 behind Ohtani, or he continues to not be able to stay healthy. I thought what the Mets gave him, 18.4 on the qualifying offer, was more than fair. When you're talking 2.5, 3 mil that he left the team that he was quoted as saying he didn't want to go anywhere and he loved the city. I was very taken back that he left, actually.
I was shocked as well.
I can understand if he was coming off like a Cy Young kind of year and the Mets didn't pony up. But this is a man who hasn't played much in 2 years. We know what he could do when he's healthy. I don't question that.
That's the risk factor, right?
That's the risk. I mean, the Yankees might be doing something similar. They're talking about grabbing Verlander.
I wish.
It's fun to see all these pitchers change hands. Right now you have Eduardo Rodriguez going to the Tigers in a 5-year deal, $77 million. Now the Tigers, our favorite manager in baseball, Mr. AJ Hinch, gets to manage Erod. And Rich, we'll touch on this one more time. What's your opinion on this contract? Too much, or is it the right direction for a starting rotation that needs some life?
I think it's too much if someone else was giving out the contract. I think the Tigers are trying to be relevant.
Right.
As much as we hate AJ Hinch, he did a good job with that team.
He did. He was actually, he was in discussion for manager of the year. We'll get to that in a minute.
Adding a few more horses, they can actually challenge the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah.
The Cleveland Guardians are in a transitional period where they're moving on from some substantial talent. You have a very bad Minnesota Twins team. And the Royals are pesky, but that's their ceiling. They're pesky. Me and Idris could speak on them because they give the Yankees a hard time all the time. But as far as trying to challenge for the division, a pickup like that, believe it or not, actually does close the gap a little bit with the White Sox. Because no knock on the White Sox, but I felt that they were the least impressive division winner around baseball this year. I was never truly.
Are you just mad? Are you just mad about the Field of Dreams game still, or are you genuinely?
Nah. We actually did well against them this year. I just felt that when it came to playing the upper echelon teams, the White Sox were just kind of coasting through the year and were comfortable playing in a bad division. That's kind of how I view them. I love Tim Anderson. They got some players on that team that I enjoy watching play. I'm not trying to shit on them. I just feel that they were overrated going in.
Speaking of overrated, though, AJ Hinch, fuck you, AJ Hinch, first of all. But
Yes.
he was in discussion for winning the AL Manager of the Year. And when I heard that, I think he was number 5 in the running.
Yeah, I knew he was going to be in it.
He did a great job with that organization. You got to give credit where it's due, even though we don't like the guy. But come on, man. Manager of the Year, AL Manager of the Year? No. That goes to Mr. Kevin Cash of my Tampa Bay Rays. Back-to-back AL Manager of the Year winner. And he's actually tied with Bobby Cox, who did it in the NL with the Braves, to win back-to-back. So if he does it again, back-to-back, first and only in the history of the MLB to do it if he does it this year coming up. But he took my Rays to a 100-win season. Very impressive, what he did. Obviously, we made some late, mid-season moves with acquiring Nelson Cruz that helped us propel us to the postseason and get the wins we needed to get there. And it made Cash look good. But he makes good, sound decisions all the way around the ball. And I feel like he deserves it. Obviously, I'm biased, but Rich, Idris, what's your opinion on this? Is it well deserved, or should it have gone elsewhere?
Idris, go ahead, get on this one.
And if you say
he deserved it. He deserved it. The Rays, I mean, God, it's like they were unbeatable, man. Every time we played them, I was like, why can't we be? And we have a history with these guys. I mean, it's like the Rays are the one team that we always struggle with. He earned it. I mean, back-to-back years, and this year they were so dominant, man. I mean, God. And the only sad part I hate about the Rays is filling that stadium, the Trop. I'm like, you got a good team down there, and you can't fill the stadium.
We always have trouble doing that. Rich and I go to quite a few games, and L actually joined us last time. We had a great time, but they can attest to this as well. I mean, we bought tickets. I don't even know where our tickets were. We moved like 5 times.
We were there for like 3 seconds.
Wherever the hell we want to sit.
Yeah, we kept moving. We kept getting closer. We went and tried an outfield seat. We tried first base. We did whatever we wanted. There was nobody there.
We were able to go live. Put it in perspective.
Why is it that the stadium can't? I mean, what is it? The neighborhood? I mean, what is it? I mean,
there's a couple of factors here. For years and years, they've been talking about moving it over the causeway into Tampa, maybe Ybor City even. But you have to go over that causeway to get into St. Pete, and that adds another 45 minutes with traffic. People simply don't want to make the commute. You have a ton of fans that are living in Tampa that are huge Rays fans that just don't want to drive 45 minutes to an hour over that causeway just to go see a game. And I would make the trek, but I mean, I also understand it, the people that don't want to do it. That's one factor of many. But I mean, ticket pricing is dirt cheap. I mean, you can get into the stadium for $22. And if you want some SRO, if you want a standing room only in the outfield, and you can stand at the bar, and they have high top tables you can stand at for $22. And you can park for as cheap as $5 and walk in a little bit. So I really don't know what it's going to take other than building a stadium in Tampa and, Tampa downtown proper or Ybor.
I agree. That's
there's
the
a lot of
why
factors.
you're keeping them, because it's going to be easier for people to get to them.
Right.
I mean, in Tampa, that part of Tampa, you can see a lot of people basically just walking 2 miles and going to the stadium, as opposed to dealing with that nightmare causeway. Like for us, we're in Orlando. That's like a day out for us. It's not a big deal to us, but I imagine that because they live there, and Tampa is very congested to begin with. St. Pete, Tampa.
Yeah.
It's the location is in my opinion the biggest factor.
Yeah, it's definitely a hindrance for sure. So, but L, what's a solution to you, L? Because I mean, looking at it on paper, the Bucks actually draw a huge fan base. I mean, the Lightning draw a huge fan base, always selling out. I went to a hockey game I didn't even care about, and that shit was packed.
Yankees in spring training do good there.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that.
And unfortunately, I think that's all the factors here that's going to see the team ultimately move away. And I know that's our nightmare scenario here, because what's the next closest shit? We got Miami. Like, no, Tampa is our Central Florida baseball team, so it sucks, even not being a Rays fan or anything else. I think you got a few factors, and I'll tie this back to the manager of the award win, which is deserved. You don't have the huge names, right? Your roster is a fraction of like the Yankees. They draw all the big names, and of course they're going to bring the people out. Demographics. You got a bunch of retirees in Tampa. They're not sitting in traffic for an hour to get to a ball game, you know, and that's who they're relying on to keep them alive in Tampa. So you got the wrong crowd. You don't have the big names to draw on the young people, and you got a shit location. So what's the solution? I mean, if money was no issue, they'd have to build in Tampa. That is the solution. Unfortunately, reality is that is more likely they're going to get relocated.
You know, and it's funny. It keeps getting shot down, and I don't understand that concept. Like, you're not willing to fight for this, to keep that organization there. They're gonna move to Montreal. Was it Montreal? Yeah, they're gonna move to Montreal. I mean, yeah, I don't know. They got to get a petition going. Something's got to happen
because they're good.
Yeah.
Personally, even though you had the bad week against the Red Sox and a disappointing finish to a great year, I actually think you guys were better this year than last year.
I agree. Couldn't agree with you more. I was Idris touched on it just a minute. He said it was like we couldn't lose. All you got to do is obviously win series. You can lose a game in a series, in a 3-game series, and be fine for the year. Have a great winning record. And really what it came down to was when we needed to win the most, we didn't fucking show up. So we had a great season. It obviously panned out very well for us during the season, but I felt a little bit like the Utah Jazz, man. We did great in the regular season, and when it came time to actually play ball, it didn't matter. We didn't show up. So left me a little bit bitter as a fan, but, you know, what are you going to do? But somebody else that's really bitter, apparently, is Mr. Scottie Pippen. Have you guys seen this? This is kind of – Rich, I'm going to let you take this and just run with it, buddy. Discrediting The Last Dance docuseries. A lot of fun accusations coming from all different corners here, but mostly Pippen is just running off at the mouth, and I think it's fun. But go ahead, Rich. Give me your take on this.
It is fun. I mean, after all, we are talking about it. I think Carl Banks, New York Giants legend, on his Twitter said something interesting. He said, I always kind of knew that I was like the Scottie Pippen to LT's MJ. But I was damn good, and I always felt comfortable in my position. I think it was a good analogy, given that Jordan is like the GOAT, or at minimum on whose list, there's not too many that you could put in the same conversation. He's salty about this Last Dance, the way he thinks he was portrayed. He's salty that it was MJ on the production side and MJ narrating in a lot of different parts. But what he has to come to grips with is that Michael Jordan helped make the NBA a global phenomenon, as well as the Chicago Bulls logo. And while I think Bird and Magic in the 80s saved the NBA, I think Jordan took it to places where no one ever thought it imaginable. And it pisses me off to a level with Scottie, because even though I'm a diehard Knicks fan, I respect those years and the rivalry we had with that team. And I've always been a big supporter of Scottie Pippen. You know, I argued with a lot of people, Brett most recently, that if we're divvying up by positions the top 25, like say 5 of each position, you can make an argument that Pippen might slide in as a top 5 small forward, which would put him in my top 25 if I divvied it like that. But the point I'm making is, it's really sad. It's like, dude, what is the shame of being number 2 when the main guy is Michael fucking Jordan? You should embrace it. You should celebrate it. And the one year that Scottie played without Mike, the Bulls did a damn good job. Scottie, unfortunately, is always going to be remembered for his selfishness, not going in the game. And Kukoc ultimately hit the shot. If Kukoc missed the shot, maybe he'd have a little more to stand on with that one. But I think it's a little far out. You know, he's calling Phil a racist. I understand the stuff with MJ being selfish, but I'm sorry. When you're on that level and you're trying to just stomp on everybody, selfishness is a part of that.
Can
You don't
I
want
read
to
you a quote?
with anybody when it comes to winning.
Rich,
Please.
can I read you a quote that they pulled?
Yeah.
Sure.
Because I want to see if you think there's any validity to this. I mean, I think most of us, we've been on the same page about Pippen for a while. Like this has been a bad couple years for him as far as the PR
Right.
battle. But I find this interesting. So this quote goes, I may go as far to say Mike ruined basketball. In the 80s on the playgrounds, you'd have everyone moving the ball around, passing to help the team. That stopped in the 90s. Kids wanted to be like Mike. Well, Mike didn't want to pass, didn't want to rebound or defend the best player. He wanted everything done for him. That's why I always believe LeBron James was the greatest player this game has ever seen. He does everything and embodies what the game is truly about.
All right.
I saw that yesterday.
How did the 1993 finals end? Jordan took Paxson for the win. Dude,
Right.
the double
All right,
nickel at MSG. Bill
let
Winner.
our guests jump in.
Bill Winner.
Gentlemen, look,
God, this is all.
you're muted.
If he'd have went into the game, Kukoc would never have got a chance to get that shot. But anyway, with Pippen, he's so bitter because the way I look at it is when you say Jordan, you say Pippen. You should be happy, like they're mentioning you. They're saying, well, Jordan never won a title without Pippen. That should tell him, look, man, they're giving you your props. Okay, the last dance was what it was. Okay, but come on, get off of it. Now, when Pippen had the chance to lead a team, I'm not speaking on the Bulls team. I'm talking about the Portland Trailblazers team. The Blazers got worse when Pippen got there. So, I mean, this guy, you were robbing. There was nothing wrong with that. They list you in the top 50 players of all time. Shut up.
I'm getting a little great valid points. I'm getting a little bit of a feedback.
Yeah, we
Same here.
Not sure what's going on. Are you guys having this issue as well?
I hear you fine.
I hear it too.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on.
About to wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm getting a huge amount of feedback. So either way. All right, we're gonna wrap it up on that note, gentlemen. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not.
Yeah.
It's
There we
Richie's
go.
microphone.
There we go.
Richie, turn your speakers down, dude.
There we go. Much better.
Okay, there we go.
Perfect. There we go.
Sorry about that, folks.
That's all good. I was like,
edit that out if I
dude.
feel like it. If not, deal with it.
I couldn't hear anybody for a minute.
Let's see. Richie, go ahead.
Hey, guys.
A little
Hey,
troubleshooting.
Hey, guys.
Ah, here it goes again. I don't know.
Oh,
Either
man.
way, guys, new merchandise coming out November 24th. Have a couple shirts left. We have a couple of larges for sale, $25. Jump on that wagon if you want. We'll send them right to you. We appreciate all your support. Idris, thanks for being here, man. We appreciate all your insight and your opinions. It's good, like I said, to get other people's opinions instead of us three knuckleheads just throwing shit around every week. So we appreciate it, man. Thank you for your time. Appreciate all you do, Richie. You guys take care. We'll catch up in the next couple of weeks, and we'll hopefully have all these microphone issues settled and ironed out next time. But great show, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Y'all take care. Stay tuned next week.
Always. Appreciate y'all.